Okay, so right now that's on.
So I gotta push it on.
Good evening. City Council's regular meeting on September 16, 2025 at 5:30 will be called to order. Could we have roll call?
Thank you, Mayor. Councillor Koso,
Present.
Councillor Buell,
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Woodruff,
Here.
Mayor Yazzie,
Here,
and Councillor Gonzalez.
could we
And-
have, go ahead.
Oh, the next item will be a reading of the Indigenous Land Acknowledgement.
This is a call to honor and respect Indigenous sovereignty and self-determination. As residents and visitors of Durango, we are called upon to educate ourselves about the history and cultural heritage of the land we inhabit. The city of Durango is situated on the ancestral homelands and territories of the Nuchu, Ute, Jicarilla Apache, Pueblos of New Mexico, Hopi-Sinom, Hopi, and Dene Navajo nations. The original stewards of this land were forcibly removed and exposed to countless atrocities by the United States government, including repeatedly broken treaties, forced assimilation, the tragic legacy of Indian boarding schools, and the loss of ancestral homelands. We recognize lasting generational trauma exists within Native communities today. We affirm the continuing importance of ancestral sites to descendant communities as integral to the living cultural landscape. This acknowledgement only becomes meaningful when combined with accountable relationships and informed actions. May this serve as a step toward inclusion and reconciliation.
Tom, could you make an announcement?
Yeah, good evening, Council. Tom Sluice, Public Information Officer for the city. Just wanted to let you know and the crowd know that we are not going to be able to provide online translation because we've got a glitch within Teams we're working on. So I just wanted to apologize for that and also to apologize to Council for the glitch in tonight's meeting.
If it gets resolved, will we be able to get it partway through the meeting? Will you stop us?
Yeah,
Raise your hand.
I'll definitely give you guys a heads up.
Do a cartwheel down the aisle. Thanks.
Thank you.
And then the next item are opening remarks by Mayor and Council.
Seeing none.
Thank you, Mayor. And the next item is item 4, presentations and proclamations. The first item is proclamation recognizing Constitution Week.
Okay, this is a proclamation recognizing Constitution Week 2025. Whereas September 17th, 2025 marks the 258th anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention, and whereas it is fitting and proper to officially recognize this magnificent document and the anniversary of its creation, and whereas it is fitting and proper to officially recognize the patriotic celebration which will commemorate the occasion, and whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States designating September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week. I, Mayor Gilda Yazzie, Mayor of the City of Durango, Colorado, do proclaim September 17th through the 23rd, 2025 as Constitution Week, and ask our citizens to reaffirm the ideals that the framers of the Constitution had in 1787 by vigilantly protecting the freedoms guaranteed to us through this guardian of our liberties, and remembering that lost rights may never be regained.
Thank you. I have a couple
Go.
of comments. I'm Patricia Joy. I am a member of the Daughters of the American Revolution, and this is Joanne McCoy, who is our chapter chairman of this committee. And this, I'll turn around this way. The Sarah Platt Decker chapter, Daughters of the American Revolution, want to thank the Durango City Council for presenting us with a Constitution proclamation. This week commemorates the 238th anniversary of the signing of the American Constitution. This most important document is the foundation and backbone of our democracy, and we urge all Americans to take a moment and think about the rights and responsibilities this supreme law of the land gives us. The local DAR members this important date every year with special projects here and in Pagosa. We have a banner flying over Santa Rita Park, displays at local libraries, the Animas Museum, and articles in the Sunday paper. This important anniversary should be noted by all. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, okay, yeah, let's do a here photo and he's gonna do a couple.
Oh, is he gonna, okay.
For our.
Thank you.
And thank you so much for doing.
Sure, thank you so
We
much.
appreciate you taking the
Congratulations.
time.
Hey.
We have to remember this.
Okay, I'll sign it. Oh, sorry. Can you wait and give it back to her?
And the next item on the agenda is 4.2, an update from Durango High School Student Council.
Hello, my name is Gus Hulls. I am the student body secretary treasurer at Durango High School. How many of you guys were in student council in high school? I was wondering about this. Okay, perfect. So this year I'm just going to tell you a little bit about what Durango High School is up to in the beginning of the year. So as far as student council, we were recognized as National Gold Council of Excellence in the last year. And so there's a bunch of list of pillars that we have to hit in order to be recognized for that. Our upcoming homecoming, which is on October 13th through the 18th, our theme is Highway to Hoko. It'll be kind of like a racing F1 cars like the movie theme. Our parade is Monday, October 13th. Our homecoming football game is Friday, October 18th, and then the dance is October 18th. We also have a leadership summit that we're working on. So we're working on bringing schools from all around Colorado to come and develop their personal leadership skills. That's ranging from October 2nd to the 4th. The theme of that is to elevate your leadership, so I'm really excited for that. Our band is participating in the Colorado West Marching Band Invitational, held every year in Grand Junction. We'll hope to see how our scores compare to other groups across the state in hopes of qualifying for state. And then our unified sports. At Durango High School, our unified sports program is making a powerful impact by bringing students of all abilities together through teamwork, inclusion, and shared success. What makes our program unique is that it is truly student-led. Our student partners take the lead in organizing, encouraging, and building a culture where everyone belongs. From bowling and basketball to track and soccer, and with flag football on the horizon, unified sports gives students with intellectual, physical, and developmental disabilities the chance to compete, grow, and celebrate together. The result is more than just games. It's lasting friendships, stronger school spirit, and a community where every student's strengths are valued. We also have a new Southwest conservation class. Our new class includes 11th through 12th graders. It focuses on interdisciplinary studies in Southwest conservation. It's basically they're inviting a bunch of community members to come and kind of tell about their part in the Southwest. They're looking for caring, experienced professionals to mentor students as they learn how to navigate their professional world, and they go on regular field trips. So yeah, that's kind of what we're up to, and I hope to see you next month.
Thank you.
And the next item on the agenda is item 5, city manager updates.
Yes, Mayor and Council, I do have one update. I'm going to ask Mike French, our Prosperity Officer, to give an update on some of the exciting work him and his team is doing with Durango 2030, and want to give that an opportunity for the council and the community to get to hear a little bit about it.
Good afternoon, Councilor, Mayor. We're anticipating the announcement from Rwanda on the 25th, so 9 days from today, of Durango being the host community for the 2030 World Mountain Bike Championships. In coordination with that, the city has partnered with Durango Cycling Championships, which was Gage Sippy, who came here to introduce the race and the partnership. of the announcement, we're also launching the Durango 2030 campaign. All eyes will be on Durango for the races leading up to 2030. And this is an opportunity for us to invest in infrastructure, quality of life, and long-term prosperity. It's a community-wide collaboration effort. That's not just the city, but all the partnerships, strategic partnerships that we have, not-for-profits, business community, et cetera. The vision is to build smart infrastructure. It's to strengthen our economy, to enhance the quality of life, and foster unity. It's an incredible opportunity that I think is once in a generation, and we should capitalize that and really think about what happens long after the races and what are the assets and resources that we can build in anticipation that will stay in our community lifelong. So I'm very excited about this. It will be at 5:15 at Buckley Park on the 26th of September, and it'll precede a bike parade that we have called Ride with Champions. So we'll have Olympians, former Olympians, we'll have national champions and UCI competitors all leading the bike parade. And then it will be followed by the Durango Devo documentary of Sepkus in Buckley Park. So we're really excited about that evening's events. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, that's what happened is our Teams program is not working, and we're going to get it up and working pretty soon.
And the next item on the, excuse me, the next item on the agenda is committee, board, and liaison reports.
Okay, Dave.
Thank you, Mayor. I had the Chamber of Commerce meeting this morning. Tim Walsworth from the BID gave an overview of BID and what they do. We went over some things regarding downtown's next steps and some of the potential headwinds from the business perspective. As we move forward with design plans for downtown's next steps, I think we all look forward to working with the business community to see what the future of downtown looks like. Also there were Commissioner Porter Norton and Sheriff Smith to go over the proposed 1% tax ballot initiative. And what was included with that proposed measure is more of like an information session, answer any questions. Yeah, it's going to fund general government services, public safety, and fire response. So it's good to hear from them what all we can expect potentially if that does indeed pass. Additionally, along with, I think, almost everybody else here, we attended the Economic Summit last Thursday. We had some great opportunities, network, and being part of a community conversations with other regional leaders. And as always, it's always a really good summit. Every year I'm like, oh, they can't top that one. Then they top it again. So anyway, so also Mayor Yazzie and I went to the Southern Ute Tribal Fair Parade this past Sunday. No, Saturday. It was great to again represent Durango as part of the Southern Ute Tribal celebration. So yeah, great times. Thanks.
I was just going to mention the 25th anniversary of the summit that we all went to. This year's theme was Rooted in Community, so it was great to hear from Teresa Larson, who's part of our community, and Michelle Lucero and Joe Thine, who are all local leaders that we heard from in the keynote, along with Phil Weisner and a bunch of great breakout sessions. So it was, I think we all learned quite a bit. There we go.
Okay, so I did attend the Southern Ute Tribal Parade with Dave, and it was real exciting because I got to ride on the parade trailer and toss candy at everybody. So that was really exciting. And nobody objected to that, so. And then, of course, the Alliance Summit, I'm always thrilled to hear our local leaders talk about our economy and going forward in the future. It's really exciting. And we also, the past Monday, we had a Regional Housing Alliance retreat, and we kind of just put all our marbles on the table and had a down and heartfelt discussion about how we would go forward with the RHA. So nothing's been decided yet, but I'll keep you informed about that. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Mayor. So I had some time this week to, with a group of volunteers from NINA and from Sacred Heart Church, to canvass the community regarding a warming center. And so we got great feedback from constituents. And so eventually we'll have a greater conversation about a warming center at the Sacred Heart Assembly Hall. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Mayor. A couple of things that had passed after the last meeting. The Animas City Night Bazaar happened a few weeks ago. I just wanted to really acknowledge that city staff really turned out for that. I thought it was a great event and really a celebration of all the residents up in Animas City, and really appreciated. Many of the staff were in costume, so they not only attended, but they made it count. So that was good to see. I wanted to highlight Library Advisory Board, that I've moved over to the Library Advisory Board. I've had a little bit of a scheduling snafu and getting on the regular circulation there, but a couple of the points that I really like is digital book circulation has surged 40% over this point from last year, and 20% new items in the collection compared to last year. So as we're liaisons on these, I'll try and highlight one or two points after each of the meetings. Thank you.
Mhm.
And so the next item will be public comment on items under consideration of adoption.
Did anybody sign up?
I'm pulling the list currently, but I think we got to play the
Oh,
public comment narrative.
we may not have it.
Public comment is encouraged on agenda items set for consideration and a vote by the council tonight. Public comments on items not set for consideration by the council come later in the meeting. Please begin your comments by stating the agenda item set for a vote you intend to speak on, your full name, and if you are a resident of the city of Durango. Make your comments directly to the council. Do not expect a response from the council or staff. Comments are limited to 3 minutes per person, unless modified by the council. Unused time is not transferable to other speakers. Comments must be specific to the item you identified when you began your comments. Profanity, hate speech, personally derogatory remarks, speech unrelated to the item you identified, or other speech that is disruptive to the meeting will be ruled out of order by the chair, and any remaining time will be forfeited by the speaker. Exceeding the time limit infringes on the rights of others and is out of order. Only a majority vote of the council can modify time limits. Please note, you must sign up prior to the mayor calling the item on the agenda. Signing up after the item is called will result in your name not being called to speak.
Thank you. And Mayor, no one had signed up for agenda related items for this agenda section.
Okay, thank you.
And so the next item on the agenda is going to be item 8, which is the consent agenda. Item 8.1 is approval of meeting minutes. 8.1.1 is approval of the minutes from the September 3rd, 2025 City Council regular meeting. Under 8.2, final reading of ordinances, we have 8.2.1, an ordinance repealing in pertinent part the Durango Code of Ordinances, Chapter 15, Municipal Court, Article 1, in general, Section 15-6, failure to respond to summons or subpoena. 8.2.2 is an ordinance amending in pertinent part the Durango Code of Ordinances, Chapter 24, Traffic and Vehicles, Article 4, Penalties and Procedures. Under 8.3, adoption of resolutions by consent, we have 8.3.1, which is a resolution approving the reappointment of Roger Zauneritis to the Joint City-County member of the Durango-La Plata County Airport Commission. Under 8.4, other approval of other administrative items, we have a resolution approving the appointment of John Harris as the Public Works Director. There are no items under 8.5 requests for public hearing. And under 8.6, introduction of ordinances, we have 8.6.1, which is an ordinance authorizing the city manager of the city of Durango to accept a donation of land from South Fork Gateway LLC and to execute an agreement and all closing documents to accept the land donation.
And there are no requests for excused absences under 8.7. And that's the end of the consent agenda.
Move to
Are there-
approve the consent agenda as presented.
Counselor Buell,
Yes.
Counselor Gonzalez, Counselor Koso,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Woodruff,
Yes.
and Mayor Yazzie.
Yes.
All right. There are no items under section 10, public hearings. And under section 11, for resolutions, we have 11.1, which is a resolution to amend the 2025 adopted budget for the purpose of increasing appropriated expenditures in the building maintenance fund and water construction fund, and increasing transfers out from the water operating fund.
Excuse me. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Again, this is a request to amend the 2025 budget. This amendment is made up of three parts. Two of these are from the water fund. This slide, we show the fund balances that are available in the water fund. So the anticipated ending fund balance at the end of this current year, fiscal year 25, before the amendment is this $9,617,829. We have two requested amendments for two projects. One is the Florida Pipeline Reconstruction Design, originally budgeted at $550,000, and the Utilities Master Plan, originally budgeted at $330,000. So the amendments requested are for the Florida Pipeline is $2,843,580. And the increase requested for the Utilities Master Plan is $735,000, bringing a net effect on fund balance to $3,578,580, and leaving an anticipated estimated fund balance at the end of the year after these budget amendments of $6,039,249. And staff from Public Works, Shelley, is here to talk more about the projects themselves to give you more information.
Mayor, I just wanted to ask if we have to wait until the end or if we wanted to potentially just ask questions as each project is talked about.
I think that it's best that we wait till all the presentations are done. So just keep a note of your questions.
Okay.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm Shelley Belm. I am the interim administrative manager for Public Works while Laura Reich is on maternity leave. So tonight we have two amendments for critical water projects in the city. The first one is to design a new raw water line from the Florida River to the water treatment plant. The existing pipeline was built in the early 1900s and did have some rehabilitation in the 1950s. Obviously, it's reached its end of life usefulness and is in critical need of replacement as it is the primary water supply for the city of Durango. This project was originally envisioned to be a repair project by slip-lining the existing pipe, but after an in-depth investigation and analysis by several engineers, it was determined that the line must be replaced. And the second project is a water and wastewater master plan. The master plan was last updated in 2021, and there's never been a wastewater master plan. The additional funding is needed because the scope of the master plan was expanded to add a rate study, a condition assessment, and a water model that will allow us to properly size replacement and new water lines throughout the city. The scope and price for both of these projects were reviewed by an independent third-party engineering firm who validated both the scope and the costs as being reasonable and appropriate for these two projects.
Okay, excuse me. And the next piece of the budget amendment is in the building maintenance fund. And again, we show the financial aspect first. And before we get into the project details, so the current expected estimated fund balance at the end of the current fiscal year is $391,819. And then the project is the EPC Carnegie HVAC system. The budget request is for $2,252,000. We do have offsetting revenues for this project that are expected to exceed the cost of the amount of the revenues is $2,811,000. So the net effect on the fund balance actually increases to $559,000. So these revenues are made up of grants and rebates, which Marty is going to talk further about the project and that information as well.
Thank you, Mayor Council. Marty Poole, Sustainability Manager. Been involved with the energy performance contract since its inception, and this is really bringing back into that project a piece of this scope that we're really excited about, but the cash flow didn't work at the time, but now we have these new revenues and it's looking really good. So you all recall that in June, you approved Resolution 2025-0039, which directed the city manager to utilize the Public Buildings Electrification Grant, the PBEG, and our anticipated Inflation Reduction Act solar direct pay credits to pay for this project. And as I mentioned, this upgrade was proposed in the original scope of the project, but due to cash flow issues at the time, we had to shelve it. So it's really exciting to bring this back. And the reason that HVAC is exciting for anyone that's not a energy nerd like me is this will fully electrify this historic building. And the science is pretty clear that in order for Durango and communities around the world to meet their greenhouse gas emission goals, we have to really fully or nearly fully electrify our buildings and then utilize renewable energy. And so to take an iconic historic building and fully electrify it is going to be very exciting. As Gloria mentioned, we have offsetting revenues. We have some remaining DOLA grant funds, the PBEG, the IRA contribution, and then we are also going to withdraw the remaining funds from our lease purchase escrow, which we had previously considered waiting until 26 to do that, but we are fully able and allowed to withdraw them early. There's no penalty for that. So that will help with the cash flow. And then the final pricing for the Carnegie project, which is the bulk of it, and then Chapman, which is also a fully electrified heat pump system to replace an aging rooftop unit there, is also included in this scope. The final price is $2,252,000. So with that, I'll hand it back over to Gloria.
And we do have a recommended motion, and of course, are happy to answer any questions that council and mayor do have.
I'd like to make a motion that that we move to amend the 2025 capital budget in the amounts and for the purposes as set forth for the capital expenditures for the city of Durango, Colorado for the 2025 budget year.
Second.
Oh, discussion. Oh, yep.
Thank you, Mayor. I've only got one comment for Marty. If you could bring more projects forward that increase fund balances, we'd really appreciate that. That would be a nice thing to do. So thank you very much for that. Actually, my other questions are on the utilities master plan and the Florida pipeline. Do we want to have Marty answer any questions on his project first?
I mean, I just got one quick one, Marty, if you don't mind. So the 560 grand plus or minus for the building maintenance fund, can that be used for other EPC work since it's going back into that fund balance?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the Building Maintenance Fund was created several years ago, and it really is intended as similar. We have a vehicle fund where multiple departments pay into kind of a centralized fund, and then that's used for the maintenance and replacement of equipment. So that is the intent of the Building Maintenance Fund. The energy performance contract is a unique type of project. In terms of the scope and how the contract is structured, really the intent of it is to work with an EPC contractor and then really map out the energy savings and tie those to capital projects. I would say that after the Carnegie project, that contract itself has really run its course. We could enter a new energy performance contract, kind of start the process over again, or we can look for these upgrades and fund them in other ways. But I would say this, as far as I can tell, without my crystal ball right in front of me, but I would suspect that this is the last scope change for this energy performance contract specifically.
Gotcha. So the $560,000 would go back into the building maintenance fund, or does it go back to the grantor?
No, it goes that's our money. That's the fund balance for the building maintenance fund that's used to replace other equipment and our facilities and our buildings as needed. And so if you needed more questions about what kinds of work would be done there, we could connect you with Jason Jones, who's our facilities manager. But
yeah, no, I just wanted to make sure that like we had to give that money back since we didn't use all
nope,
the
it just sits there and waits for something else to break so we can fix it.
That is fantastic. Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay, Marty, I have a question too.
That was terrible. Sorry, that was a bad ending note. I was like, yeah, I'm sorry.
Well, okay, so on the Inflation Reduction Act,
Yes.
on the solar portion of that, do we already have that grant money in hand, or is there still the possibility that's going to be defunded?
That is an excellent question. So all of the tax advice we've received, and then also keeping tabs from other groups that are looking at the effect that the current federal administration's decisions have had on this program in particular, we would suspect that it would be very unlikely that we wouldn't receive these funds. We've already applied for them. We've already gotten a pre-approval letter, but we have not received the check in the mail yet. And so there is a little bit of risk associated with that. I will say that this project, though we have to budget fully for it in 2025, it is absolutely going to carry over into 2026. And so from a cash flow perspective, we have the grant funding and we have some building maintenance fund balance that is plenty to last us through the end of the year. And, you know, I think we would get Mark involved if we didn't receive that money, is how I would put it.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor. A small side comment. The review committee voting is left blank again in the agenda, and I would really love to see any review committee voting that happens on these projects, just to see what the division is. If you look through the packet that we received, it was empty again. So I just wanted to put that out.
You mean the FAB, or?
It said the.
Oh, okay.
So-
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I don't have that. Let me go
Yeah.
back to that page. So just to comment further on that, on the building maintenance fund, that is not one of the funds that is overseen by FAB. So that comment is listed here. This comes straight to you to approve without recommendation by the FAB. And I apologize if we did not put this on water fund. So, okay, we do have here at the top of the project slide that it was reviewed on September 4th, 2025 by the FAB, and they did recommend it go forward.
Okay, so, and I'm just trying to clarify, when we receive these packets, there's a voting table inside the packet that usually shows who voted how, but that's empty. Is that A, why is it in the packet if it's empty? But B, can we go ahead and show those votes?
Sure, I think we can show those
Okay.
votes. Financial Advisory Board, I know new CFO, so we're
Sure.
trying to work on that.
Absolutely. Just wanted to point that out. For the future, nothing here. So thank you. for
Appreciate it. We
being
can send
patient
that
with me.
information out.
The Florida pipeline reconstruction design, it's 3.9 million for just the design. Can somebody help me understand? That seems to be a huge price tag for just the design, not even construction.
The reason for such a significant increase is there is a lot of easement and road right-of-way work and research that has to be done, and that is driving up the cost of the project, really. It has a lot to do with easements and that.
And so the pipeline goes in, we've got an existing pipeline. We're not changing where that pipeline goes, but it's going beside that pipeline. Obviously, we have to keep a working pipeline going while we're constructing, correct?
Correct, and that's the reason we're looking at the full reconstruction, is because by doing the rehabilitation project, we would have been shutting down portions of the Florida pipeline for weeks at a time,
Okay.
impacting obviously the water flow to the city reservoir. So
And so for my education, we've got rights of way and easements that were happening when we put the first line in and the work that we've done on that line, but those don't necessarily hold to installing a second line beside the first line.
we are having to move the line significantly away from the original line.
Okay.
Which will mean more easement and or right-of-way acquisition in order to install that new line.
Okay.
We will not be taking out the old line. That eventually will also be rehabbed, so we have redundancy as well. So the reason there is such a large expense is we're actually having to separate them significantly so that there's no impact to the original line.
Okay, great. Thank you for those. One other question, that the vast majority of the work seems to be done in 2026. And so why ask in 2025 at this point for a reappropriation or for an appropriation?
We actually have contracts waiting for council approval so that the work can start now instead of in 2026.
Okay.
If we do all of the work in 2026, we're just going to delay construction of the project even further. So
Okay.
that's the reason.
Similar to the utilities master plan?
Yes.
Some of that work's going to be done in
Yes,
the next
they're
couple of
going to
months?
start working on the utilities master plan immediately. We have actually our first meeting with the contracted study group on, I believe, October 2nd.
Okay.
So we're jumping right in.
Okay. Last question on utilities master plan. There was a statement, the original estimate did not include a condition assessment or modeling of the system. And I guess I didn't understand why we wouldn't have modeled the system or looked at the condition of the existing system in the original proposal.
I think the I don't think that the original one really took the scope as far as it really needed to go. As we've been finding more and more work throughout the city, and pipes being extremely old from the 1800s.
Yeah.
I think we really need to understand what the condition of our current system is in order to really make good recommendations and plan properly for the future. We want to replace what needs to be replaced more urgently and more critically first than something that can wait maybe 10 years or so. So it's just a matter of aligning how we do our work.
That was my buzzer. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
One question, Shelley. Now that's the pipeline that's 9 miles long, correct?
I'm sorry,
Is
what?
that the pipeline that's 9 miles long? Or
9 miles long,
Yeah,
yes.
okay, thank you.
Yes. Anything else? Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions?
Roll call, please.
Thank you, Mayor. Counselor Gonzalez. Mayor Yazzie.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Woodruff.
Yes.
Counselor Buell.
Yes.
And Counselor Koso.
Yes.
Thank you. And the next item under Section 11 resolutions is 11.2, which is a resolution adopting the bylaws for the Durango Tourism Commission.
Mike French from the Prosperity Office. The following is a presentation regarding resolution number R 2025-0064. It's a resolution adopting the bylaws for the Durango Tourism Commission and amending its name. It aligns with our mission and vision and our strategic plan, specifically 2.3, preserve and enhance Durango's distinct appeal and competitive edge as an attractive community. The Tourism Advisory Commission has already been seated. They've had 2 commission meetings. Those members are Jeff Johnson from the Narrow Gauge Train, Rebecca Hunnell from Forcor, Antonio Lacuna from FLC, Denise Leslie from Hideaway Marketing, Ken Stone from the Durango Hot Springs, Tori Oslo from Strader Hotel, Kim Euler from the Chamber of Commerce, Dave Rathbun from Purgatory Resorts, and Grant Wilson, who is the director with Earth Law Center. A very diverse and knowledgeable commission. We're very excited, and thank you, Council, for appointing the right folks to that commission. Resolution details: the City Council adopted ordinance number 02025-0012 that established the Durango Tourism Commission on the 4th day of March 2025 to serve as an advisory body to the City Council on matters related to tourism development and the management of tourism activities. It is required that they have bylaws to provide clarity, consistency, transparency in the operations of such commission. The Tourism Commission has drafted and recommended a set of bylaws to the City Council for adoption at their August 21st, 2025 meeting. Staff suggests that we amend the commission's name from Durango Tourism Commission to Tourism Advisory Commission to better reflect its advisory role to the City Council and the broader scope of its work. This is staff's recommended action for Resolution R2025-0064.
Move to adopt Resolution R2025-0064, adopting bylaws for the Durango Tourism Commission, amending its name to the Tourism Advisory Commission.
I'll second.
Dave, would you take over?
Yes, Mayor. Happy to. Any questions or discussion? Oh, sorry. That's my turn. Yep.
Thank you. Mike, thanks. I appreciate this. The 5 priorities of the Tourism Commission, in reading those out, the prioritizing sustainable tourism in the bylaws, was there much discussion about the priority that would take in and amongst those 5 criteria and how we drive that conversation a little stronger, which I think is a strong viewpoint from a lot of our residents?
Yeah, there's quite a bit of conversation around that, and there are a couple of really strong representatives on the commission that were appointed specifically for that purpose, who happen to really represent sustainable marketing extremely well. It is reflected in the bylaws with language, and I think what you'll see is a strong emphasis on destination management is the syntax that we're using, as opposed to just destination marketing. So destination marketing and management. There was talk of reviewing the destination management master plan, which exists and was adopted by a previous council.
Okay.
I believe that they're going to pressure test that and probably bring an update to council on the destination management plan.
Great.
So yes, there's a lot of action happening there.
Okay.
Thank you, Councilor.
Thank you. And then the member of the Durango Chamber of Commerce, was that the intent on that seat to get retail and service business representation?
That was really open to the chamber, but yes, it was to get business representation. And they decided to seat their COO, who I think has a pretty good grasp of what her membership looks like.
Okay. And a side question, conflicts of interest. How do the representatives from Purgatory or the train, how do they deal with conflicts of interest when we're talking about funding that may actually push business to the?
Yeah, that's a great question, Councilor. There are 2 different types of conflict of interest. One is direct and one is indirect.
Correct.
And we discussed that at length, and even the commission actually asked for clarity, which we sent back to our attorney's office. Our attorney's office ruled on what those definitions were. We brought that back to the Tourism Commission, and it took an extra meeting to adopt the bylaws with modifications to both direct and indirect conflicts of interest. It's a small community. Obviously, everybody has an interest in some way, shape, or form. I think what's important, if they recognize a direct conflict of interest, that they recuse themselves. On an indirect, that they explain what that indirect might be. But we're gonna wrestle with that consistently.
Perpetually.
Yeah, and I think that's just the nature of the business.
Okay.
We just have to be very careful about how we manage that.
Thank you.
Thank you for your question, Counselor.
Any other discussion? Questions? All right, make it a roll call, please.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Mayor Yazzie,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Woodruff,
Yes.
Counselor Gonzalez, Counselor Koso,
Yes.
and Counselor Buell.
Yes.
Thank you. And the next agenda section is consideration of ordinances, with item 12.1 being an ordinance for text amendments to Chapter 27 of the City of Durango Municipal Code regarding updates to parking standards and other minor updates to enhance clarity.
Thank you, Mayor and City Council. I'm a little phlegmy, so bear with me. My name is Lily Oswald. For a couple new faces on council, for Councilor Koso and Councilor Gonzalez, I'm with the Community Development Department. Tonight, we are going to be presenting on a consideration ordinance for you all regarding text amendments to the Municipal Code Chapter 27, which is also our Land Use and Development Code, referred to as the LUDC throughout this presentation. These are text amendments updating parking standards and then some minor amendments such as lighting code, flood hazard elevation requirements, and some definitions to enhance clarity. These updates are in alignment with the organizational stewardship strategic plan goal. A few pieces of background which have driven these text amendments from the state and local level. The first being the Colorado Department of Housing and Urban Development, or HUD, passed a recent regulation increasing the required elevation, also known as freeboarding, for residential properties affected in our special flood hazard areas. The second piece, the Colorado Legislature passed House Bill 19-1260 and House Bill 22-1362. These both impact the requirements at a very high level for the number of EV spaces in new construction and major renovation projects. Thirdly, staff have identified some various amendments to sections of our code to enhance its clarity and correct some minor inconsistencies. This is typical when we advance an ordinance for text amendments due to the lengthy process. And then the last piece, the city hired Walker Consultants as part of the comprehensive parking management plan update process. And part of this involved amending Durango's parking code in the LUDC and including updating some parking minimums to our code. Specifically on that piece for the comprehensive parking management plan, which the city adopted formally in December of 2022, there were several recommendations yielded in that plan from Walker Consultants. I'm going to highlight a few because they directly relate to the code updates in front of you all. The first being this plan, and what they wanted to reflect in our land use code was supporting a park once philosophy for our downtown and commercial districts. Second, simplifying our parking and loading calculations, which I'll go into in a little bit more detail in a moment, with our industry best practices and standards outlined and maintained by the Institute of Transportation Engineers, ITE, the Urban Land Institute, ULI, and the National Parking Association, NPA. So that's where those numbers are coming from. The third piece, expanding the Main Avenue character area parking exemption, which I'll go into next, aligning with EV parking standards as they're evolving at the state and national level, and then identifying a locally calibrated reduction for affordable housing parking requirements as we are having emerging housing projects. Just to highlight here, the city's not inventing the wheel. It's more and more common for municipalities, especially of this size, to look at updating their parking codes. What we're seeing is an evolving best practice at maybe a larger municipal scale is getting rid of parking minimums at all. The city is not proposing that at this time. This is more of an incremental update to our parking code, but it's important to note that this is not the first time this is being done. There are changes that we're presenting here tonight, which will have effect on our built environment. And we're also able to learn from these communities as they have had these parking code updates in effect for a while now. So the high level overview of these amendments, because they are pretty comprehensive in your packet, 60 or so pages. The first piece is expanding the change of use parking exemption. The second is updating our EV or electric vehicle standards. The third, updating existing parking tables. And then the fourth piece, again, is just updating some miscellaneous sections. All of these are in alignment with adopted plans and policies, which are outlined specifically in your agenda document, and I won't go through the page and a half or so of goals which this aligns with. So that first piece, expanding the change of use parking exemption, is a standalone piece within this red line. What we have on the image on the left is our current parking exemption. This is in our Main Avenue character area, which is an overlay zone within our different downtown design overlay zones in the city's zoning code. What we're proposing is just changing this exemption to also be captured within the central business district zone, as well as the the Midtown urban renewal area. So both of those areas are sort of merged together in the image on the right with that white background. The findings here and why we're proposing this and why Walker is proposing this is we see this as a working model on Main Avenue with evolving restaurants and allowed uses on our commercial corridor on Main Avenue. And again, on this Main Avenue character overlay, what we see is these businesses being able to succeed without every other property on Main Street being a parking lot to support these different allowed commercial uses. It's important to note too that not all businesses will change use and affect parking. We have established businesses. Not everyone's going to upend and move to these new areas because of this new parking exemption change. And what we consider this to be a very incremental change to an already working model. So what we also see is that parking will continue to be provided, and this is outlined a little bit more in the comprehensive parking management plan. Market dictates demand. There are many businesses that will prefer to go somewhere with additional and an abundance of parking, not in these corridors. This expansion will enhance the use of existing commercial and mixed use areas and allowed uses where proximate parking exists. This exemption, it's also very important to note that this only applies to properties and projects where there is no added gross floor area to an existing building. There is no added or proposed residential unit to those structures, and they are only allowed uses. So in other words, if a business typically has to go through a limited use, a special use, or a conditional use permit process as part of their project, they would not be able to fall within this parking exemption. This is only for allowed uses by right within this area, and it's only if they are not adding a square foot to their project. This is informed in part by some parking utilization and availability of downtown maps. We're very thankful to the city's transportation department and our GIS team, which have captured and illustrated in these maps the average utilization of parking rates in our downtown area. They do this by performing a parking count once a week at varying times a day. They do this at random selection. Those hours and times are provided in this slide and in your staff report. But what's important to note is that we see that parking availability fluctuates. The image on the left is from July, which Walker in the comprehensive parking management plan noted was the highest demand for parking month downtown. And then we have another image on the right, which is January of this year, where we see much more available parking. Regardless of this, we still see that parking is generally available within 2 blocks of a destination, which meets that demand and also supports, again, that park once philosophy for our commercial corridors. The second piece, again, of these high-level updates is updating our electric vehicle standards. Without going into very high-level pieces here on these different House bills and the many, many model codes which are circulating and being required for municipal governances to update, it's just important to know that these EV parking requirements have evolved and we are required to update them at our staff level. But we are recommending adopting the latest version of the required model code as it provides developers the greatest flexibility within these model codes while still requiring sufficient charging infrastructure to meet our growing demand. The third piece is really the bread and butter of our parking code, which are these tables. They're not incredibly illustrative or beautiful tables, and we're not getting rid of them, but we are updating these numbers, which correlate directly to the different allowed, limited, special, and conditional uses within our zoning code. We are updating these parking minimums to align, again, with the ITE, the ULI, and the NPA standards, which are nationally maintained and outlined. This is from Walker's recommendation. The second piece is we're just combining some of these uses if they yield the same requirements to just shorten the tables a little bit, and then aligning with our exact use tables in the land use code to just provide some greater consistency. And the fourth piece, again, just updating some miscellaneous sections. updating our residential freeboarding elevation requirements. This is only for affected residential units within state regulations from 1 foot to 2 feet above a base flood elevation. That's a state requirement. And another one is updating some minor sections of the code to enhance its clarity and consistency. I mentioned aligning some different use tables, and then now also updating some definitions for these parking standards and then some other miscellaneous definitions. The review criteria is outlined in section 6.3.13.3 of our Land Use and Development Code, chapter 27 of our adopted city municipal code. I won't go through all of these criteria, but staff does find that these proposed amendments meet all of the applicable criteria. The Community Development Commission held a public hearing on July 28th of this year and considered these amendments and unanimously recommended approval of these text amendments with the following 7 conditions. The first, again, is just some minor clarifications on language regarding the level of EV chargers required. The second is keeping the city's Kelvin allowances. This is in our lighting code. Third, keeping existing minimum parking standards for the age-restricted housing. That's a use type. Removing the proposed bike share parking reduction section, which is a new and added proposed section from our multimodal team. The fifth is amending the car share reduction to exclude the spaces required for a car share program. And this is just clarifying language, which we agreed with them. And then 6, amending the parking fee in lieu to state parking related infrastructure improvements to really make sure that the parking fee in lieu was captured as parking related infrastructure improvements. And then the 7th was removing the covering requirement for short-term bicycle racks. It's important to note as part of the process involving a recommended action from our Community Development Commission, we're able to take an even greater fine-tuned look at this code, although we've been really heads down in it for quite a while. Staff found that some of these recommendations, and all of them were thoughtful additions to the proposed amendments, but some of which also capture details that will result in a stronger and more enforceable final code language. The city's transportation department recommended proceeding with the bike share parking reductions as they were proposed because this subsection aligns with future opportunities for public and private partnerships and may also be a good option for affordable housing projects to help those reduce cost. These are just within a greater menu of parking reductions, but they do not apply to every project. The second piece is the Community Development Department recommended proceeding with increased Kelvin allowances to the lighting code, which are proposed in here. This color temperature is suitable for a wider variety of applications while still being within the warm white color range and will continue to meet dark sky requirements and allow the city to pursue that certification process. So what we have on this slide is staff's recommendations from the CDC's conditions. So we are recommending moving forward with the 5 on here, numbers 1, 3, 5, 6, and 7. These are also in your staff report. And the red line exhibit, which is also in your packet tonight, reflect these 5 conditions. So those are already reflected within the red line, which is in front of you. The anticipated next steps, again, the Community Development Commission had a consideration at a public hearing and offered you a recommendation. Unanimously, they recommended approval. The City Council consideration of ordinance tonight. The final reading of ordinance, we are slating for October 7th, but barring any change to that date, these Land Use and Development Code text amendments would go into effect if approved later in October. These were noticed in accordance with the Land Use and Development Code. No public comments were received for this public hearing. There was a letter of support provided by the Chamber, which was also included in your report tonight. There's a recommended motion for your consideration here, which is also in your staff report. Marty Poole is here to answer some EV-related questions if you have any. We also have Sarah Hill with the Transportation Department to answer multimodal-related questions. Thank you.
Okay. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve the ordinance with the staff recommended conditions as described during this public hearing to update portions of Chapter 27 of the City of Durango Municipal Code with the finding that the proposal complies with, and my screen just went dark, with the criteria for text amendments as described in the City of Durango Land Use Code, Land Use and Development Code.
I'll second.
Great. Any discussion? All right. Kip.
Thank you. Thanks. I can't imagine how tough this was piling through all this. So really appreciate what your team did. I had a hard time and I'm at the tail end of the whole process. Also, I just wanted to say thank you to Sarah's team for the parking maps. Those were really important to understand what we were talking about here. Under the lighting design standards, I tried to track through the minutes from the meeting, but I didn't quite understand the objection that Commissioner Scott had that disagreed with the staff recommendations. Can we just review that first?
Yeah,
quick?
from what I recall from that discussion, great question. So Kelvin is how the city measures the lighting color temperature. It was one of the many facets of updating our lighting code recently in alignment with dark sky principles. So establishing a maximum Kelvin also allows the city to better regulate better dark sky standards for a more warm color temperature in general. The concern with updating these Kelvin changes now is that we just went through the process of updating our lighting code and that we haven't had enough time to have it in effect to want to change it yet. The argument from staff with that was that in working with designers and developers, we are receiving that this is becoming, yes, it's possible to develop and design exterior lighting to this 2700 Kelvin maximum allowance. However, upping it to 3000 is still within that warm color range, but allows a bit wider of an opportunity for us to work with developers and designers over the next 10 years to come into compliance as a community. And we want to keep reiterating that the Land Use and Development Code is a living, breathing document. So we're able to update it from time to time. And this is one of the opportunities that we can point to and say, we updated the lighting code, a couple of these things, we're receiving this feedback from the community, and in an effort to have some customer service and work with developers and still achieve these goals, this is a way we can reopen the code if it's not working the way it could be.
So it doesn't necessarily change the fixtures that can be chosen and we're not forcing anybody to make a bunch of changes because of a 300 Kelvin change.
It will allow for developers, designers, property owners to be able to come into compliance with a little bit more flexibility.
Okay.
But the shielding pieces and all that still remain.
All the same. Okay, great. Thank you. And then on the freeboarding section, I know this is state mandated, but I just didn't really understand the impact. Can you give me an example of somebody who would be moving, like this is the base level at flood level, moving from 1 foot to 2 foot? In an existing structure, is that a tremendous amount of money to deal with?
It's not that the city will be going out and identifying all of these affected properties that maybe don't meet these elevated requirements now. It's if a new home is being developed or there are floodplain regulations where if you're changing over 50% of a property, that's kind of the threshold from FEMA, that you are subject to meeting these regulations. So if you have a home, and again, it's only if a home is specifically in a state flood hazard area, an SFHA, which is along Junction Creek and places like that, but they aren't all over the community. If you are within one of these state articulated areas, that you're now required to elevate from, if the base elevation is here, from instead of 1 foot, 2 feet. So it's only if it's a new build or a significant remodel.
In the houses and in commercial properties that might be in these areas, they're not dealing with a basement or anything then probably at this point. So if I've got a concrete pad, am I raising that concrete pad an extra foot?
You would be, and it's also only for residential properties.
Only residential, but I am, if I'm going over 50%, I've got to probably do
With
a
that-
massive amount of changes to raise it up the extra foot.
With the new area you'd be developing.
Okay.
So
with
if
the new
you're
area.
adding onto your kitchen, it'd be that new addition. You'd have maybe an awkward step if you didn't want to do your whole house that way.
Okay, great. Thank you for that clarification. Last thing, the fee in lieu, I'm just a little unfamiliar with that. Is that an account that is very large? I don't know if I'm asking the wrong person that question.
No, it is not.
Okay.
It is, we were racking our brains and going through some budgets. I believe it's been used maybe once over the last 14 years. It is not a typical fee in lieu that we receive or process. So it's not floating any other sort of projects that we have around town. But we wanted to keep it as a tool in the toolkit within this code. And then also just bolster a little bit of the language to include infrastructure related projects so that if there's maintenance, as we see required from time to time with outdated infrastructure, that we're able to use this fee in lieu for that as well, instead
Okay.
of just above ground parking structures.
But once in 14 years, this is a very,
Yes,
Okay.
it is not a widely used.
look
fee.
at that.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Right, Councilor Buell?
I'll just continue off the fee in lieu. Is it, we've only collected it once in 14 years. Is it
I
because,
believe, yeah.
well, is it because we just don't go after it? Or is it because there's no projects being built that would require it?
Most projects put in the required parking.
Okay.
So they don't take advantage of the fee in lieu program, if you want to call it that. And or they don't qualify to be able to have that as one of their menus of options for parking reductions.
Okay, but do we have a way, do we have people that are able and have time and capacity to make sure that this is happening and that we're using, because this is a good use of funds if a project applies to it. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
If we get any, and now that these are a bit more on our forefront from going through this code process
Yeah.
over the last couple years, we've had a lot more discussions about the fee in lieu, where otherwise maybe we wouldn't have remembered that that's an operating budget. So if a project came forward, they were able to, and they wanted to use this fee in lieu program, we were able to calculate that fee with our city engineer.
Cool.
Then we would, be able to use it for these different costs. Because I agree, it could be a useful tool.
Excellent. It states in the packet that there's no negative fiscal impacts anticipated. Are we like nothing particular regarding EV infrastructure or new enforcement mechanisms? There's quite a few things in there that I would think, like the in lieu fee and like there's some enforcement.
There's a lot of enforcement
Yeah.
in it. It's important to note that most of the language around these different things that will require enforcement from time to time already exists in our code. So we don't anticipate an abundance of new required enforcement for these things. We do have a code enforcement team, both with the police department and with our community development department, who we've worked with on this code, who are ready to tackle enforcement as typical now. And then in terms of also enforcement, that's part of a planner's project management, is making sure that these throughout the development process, that parking stalls are built, they're built to X dimensions, and that's a component of the enforcement as well.
Excellent. I had a question on the Kelvins, but Kip got it. And then the last one, the CDC recommended removing the bike share parking reduction section, but we're keeping it, correct?
We're recommending
that we're
council
keeping
keep
it. That's, yeah. Is there specific future opportunities for public-private partnerships that are enabled by this provision? And how does this incentivize affordable housing projects?
The thought being, we've had a couple, there was initially a thought with also residences at Durango being able to use something similar to this program, where not everyone may own or drive a car, but we would be able to maybe partner through a grant fund or through something else with a bike share program for supporting residences at certain neighborhoods or areas around town where this would be beneficial for multimodal advancement. It's not necessarily that the second this goes through, boom, a project's going to go live, but it's been the source of a few different conversations in the past where we just don't have a program like that yet. So we really don't know how to manage it.
Cool.
So this is more of an option to move forward.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thanks for the presentation, and thanks for everyone's work. Sarah, you, the CDC, super thorough. I really appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Devin. Yeah, thank you. Staff.
Great. I wanted to kind of piggyback on some of the Kelvin conversation. I know Dark Sky has the maximum of 3,000 Kelvin.
Yep.
And as Waylon is our kind of like dark sky expert, did he get a chance to weigh in on any part of this conversation?
He did. And he and I met with the representative we've been working with at the International Dark Sky Alliance to make sure that this wouldn't be any sort of issue. And again, it was initially just, we're hearing a lot of feedback from the community of this piece of it isn't exactly working. Not to say it's impossible, but it's just a bit more of a hurdle in an already complicated development process. So we wanted to see if it would be possible. Waylon and our representative from the Dark Sky Alliance said that this is common for municipalities to bump it to 3,000, and there was no concern from Waylon.
Okay, great. And then also to echo other counselors, I mean, it was a lot of minutia to run through just on the reading side of it. I can't imagine the effort that it took to get it all on paper in the first place. So thank you so much for really going over all this with a fine tooth comb and present it in a meaningful way to council. So thank you for all the hard work.
Sure. Thank you.
Anybody else? Excellent. Can I get a roll call, please?
Thank you. Councilor Koso,
Yes.
Councilor Buell,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Woodruff,
Yes.
Mayor Yazzie,
Yes.
and Counselor Gonzalez.
Thank you, Council.
Thank you. And the next item is item 12.2, which is an ordinance adopting the liquor license rules of procedure. Now I'm going to step over here. Mayor and Council, my name is Ben Florine, Chief Deputy Clerk in the City Clerk's Office, and this is an ordinance adopting the liquor license rules of procedure with the Durango strategic goals of safety and quality of life and engaged and informed community. So real quick, what are the liquor license rules of procedure? Well, they're actually a document that the City Clerk's Office uses to help us with liquor licensing. So the rules of procedure serve as a guide for businesses interested in applying for a liquor license or having it transferred from another business. It also outlines the processes for liquor license renewals, which we have 156 liquor licenses in town and we renew each one each year. It outlines the process the city will take to issue a liquor license and a guide for the application. And it also references state statutes and city ordinances that set forth requirements for the liquor types. After an application for a transfer or a new license, it'll help the applicant and outline the proceedings leading up to the liquor hearing, which we have occasionally here at City Council meetings. So why update the liquor rules of procedure? The last update to the liquor license rules of procedure was in 2010. We've had liquor code updates locally here as recent as 2019. And also at the same time, state statutes have changed, and this document needed to be updated to have accurate references. Many of the items in the rules of procedure were out of date, such as license types, city and state fees, and old processes. Also, the new structure of the local licensing authority was not reflected in the prior rules of procedure. So what did our process look like for updating it? Myself and our liquor license manager, Dana DeBolt, we've been meeting with the city attorney's office since the spring to update this document. We thought it'd be valuable to include legal experts to cross-check us as the process experts. And the attorney's office also helped us update the language for all of the procedures to make sure it was in accordance to state statutes and local ordinances. And they also confirmed for us that it should be codified via ordinance to be applicable to all current and potential liquor licensees. Just to give an example of some things, you'll see some changes that we identified is updates to the individual history records and fingerprinting requirements for the different percentages of ownership within a liquor license. We removed all of the 3.2 alcohol and requirements. We don't sell 3.2 beer anymore. We addressed the elimination of the local licensing authority as a separate board and instead now being city council. This one was kind of interesting. We eliminated producing transcriptions of our liquor hearings onto cassette tapes, which was still in there. And then another interesting one is we eliminated paying city staff to survey wishes and desires of the community at $10 an hour. So those are just some of the examples you'd see of some of the updates. A lot of them are common sense and really just aligning them with city and state code to have an effective and cleaned up document for liquor licensees. But you'll see the recommended motion right here, and I'd be open to any questions from councilors.
Have a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve an ordinance adopting the liquor license rule of procedure.
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? All right.
Oh, no.
All right. I think we have no questions, Ben, so we'll do a roll call.
Thank you, Councilor Buell,
Yes.
Councilor Gonzalez, Councilor Koso,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Woodruff,
Yes.
and Mayor Yazzie.
Yes.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. The next item we have is public comment on city matters not under consideration tonight. Thank you. And looks like we have about 12 people signed up to speak tonight under non-agenda items. And the first individual is Karen Pontius.
Can you hear me? My name is Karen Pontius. I live at 288 Animas View Drive in Durango. Issue number 1, I'm a member of Durango Forward. For 2 years, we've asked City Council to raise the minimum wage in the city. You've heard 2 study sessions, one from the business viewpoint and one from the workers' viewpoint. I hope that we can choose the workers over the businesses. We asked the city to study a tiered approach or a stepped approach using a 3 or 5 step phase-in to raise wages gradually each year, then tie the annual raise to cost of living. Local governments are not responsible for enforcing minimum wage laws in Colorado, which means raising the minimum wage in Durango would not create any additional costs for the city. Issue number 2. I don't know if council members watch national news, but just look at what's happening in the big cities. There's a video yesterday of an ICE army attacking a disabled woman that they knocked down with those so-called non-lethal rounds in Chicago. I heard hundreds of those fired at this woman. You hear the pop, pop, pop. So watch that video. The small towns aren't getting the coverage, but the impact of ICE kidnappings is huge. Do you all tell yourselves it can't happen here? The video of ICE shattering a van window in Aztec so they could drag a man out in front of his partner and 2 young children tells you it is happening here. My home state of California is taking action. The California Assembly Democrats passed legislation last Tuesday to put an end to secret police tactics by Trump's ICE agents, protecting Californians from cruel and unlawful federal raids. One part of the Senate Bill 805 requires ICE, Border Patrol, and Homeland Security operating in California to clearly identify themselves while conducting operations. Senate Bill 627 makes it illegal for these federal officers to wear masks or face coverings. It can be done. Just because a state of 40 million people are doing it should give you enough cover to realize this is what people want to protect their families and neighbors. I raise my voice to ask the City Council to, number 1, vote yes on the resolution that's under new business to support our immigrant community. Number 2, prioritize a study session this month on how the city can respond to ICE in Durango. And finally, since this is recorded, the rapid response hotline to report suspected or known ICE activity is 844-864-8341. Thank you.
And the next individual signed up to speak is Kelly Von Stroh.
Thank you. I'm Kelly Von Stroh. I do not live in the city limits, but I do work at Durango Public Library. I was a teacher in 9R for more than 15 years, and I am a vested community member. Thank you all for your service, and thank you to council that attended the Latina Cultural Celebration this Sunday that was sponsored by the Lodgers Tax. 2 weeks ago at the September 3rd City Council meeting, we heard the heart-wrenching accounts of families being separated, children not going to school because it doesn't feel safe, and many of our rights being violated. Our community is not well because our community is not standing up for our community. I love our community, and our immigrant community is one and the same to me. We are all community. The comments and experiences shared on September 3rd, the articles in the Herald, and the experiences shared with me personally about ICE trying to break our community's back only strengthen my resolve to urge you tonight to vote to pass resolution, I believe it's 14.2 tonight, to support our immigrant community under new business so that it will be on the City Council's meeting agenda, next agenda. And second, I ask you tonight to please reprioritize a study session within the month or schedule a special session to study the actions the city can take to address the damaging effects ICE is having in our community. This is urgent. This is about human lives, families staying intact, our community's cohesiveness. Please use your privilege to protect our community. ICE's illegal damaging actions are putting all community community members in peril, not just immigrants. ICE corruptors, I refuse to call them agents or officers, are unnecessarily breaking traffic laws, driving erratically, not identifying themselves transparently, racially profiling, often wearing vests that just say police, not ICE police, which undermines DPD's work that they've done to build trust in our community. Perhaps that is something to look at in the study session, or a statute that any law enforcement cannot wear face masks in city limits. Communities and families are being broken apart by community and families are not being broken apart by ADU lot sizes or surfing on the animus. While I admit that those are very important to our community, but their urgency does not immediately affect a community member or our family. So please reprioritize a study session to address what is happening now to our community. In that special study session, I implore you to schedule tonight. Here are some areas or actions you might consider. Again, maybe the Durango police could work with ICE and ask them to not wear police vests, because that misrepresents our community, and also cancel the face coverings and maybe require judicial warrants. Thank you very much for your time.
The next individual signed up to speak is Dee Dee Haro.
Good evening. I'm Dee Dee Deodo Brown, and I live at 3065 East 2nd Avenue in Durango. So I'm your constituent and you're my representatives. So I would like for you to represent me when it comes to Immigration and Customs Enforcement, also known as ICE. I don't like seeing agents in my town in unmarked cars. I don't like seeing agents in civilian clothes with no identifiable, visible information. I don't like agents who refuse to identify themselves to the public. And I think these things are dangerous in our community. And so I'm asking you to give this some real serious thought and work. And I would like for you to vote yes on the resolution supporting the immigrant community. And I would like for you to have an immediate study session, because I feel this is an emergency. We need to deal with it right away. And in that study session, for us to figure out what we can do, what options does the city have in dealing with ICE. So that's what I'm requesting of you, and I hope you'll give this your full attention. And I really hope you'll do it for the immigrants, because they're afraid. Thank you.
The next individual signed up to speak is Aaliyah Molina.
Hey, hello, my name is Aaliyah Molina. I'm a student at Fort Lewis College. I run cross country and track there. And I am here today to speak on matters regarding coming to a resolution to support our immigrant community under the new business, as well as a study session this month that investigates the city's options for responding to ICE in Durango. Being from Southern Colorado, I'm pretty familiar with the area, and also coming from a smaller community to Durango, we are a supportive community. At least since I've been here, I have felt extremely supported from the community, using resources at my college as well as within the community. And I would really like to extend that to our immigrant community as well. They make up a large portion, especially within Southern Colorado, of our population, and they are being attacked right now with unnecessary force from people who are masking themselves, being abducted from their cars, from Home Depot, from Walmart. So yeah, I just call to action that you guys listen to what the community has said so far this evening, and let's do something about it. Thank you.
The next individual signed up to speak is Chris Cottrell.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. My name is Chris Cottrell. I live here in town, in South Grid. First, I wanted to take the opportunity to thank you for your service. I know you care about this community, and we appreciate your care. I imagine when you decided to run for this public office, you didn't expect it to coincide with an authoritarian federal takeover. But how appropriate that tomorrow is the 238th anniversary of the signing of the Constitution. Appropriate because what better way to mark and celebrate that notable date than to do everything in your power to uphold and protect the ethos and the rights provided in that document. It's great that you took the time to recognize the Constitution today and name this Constitution Week. And I'm curious what that will mean brass tacks for the town. And I know the intentions are good, and I hope that it's not merely lip service. I don't expect it to be. I just hope that that's true, that it's not. And to that end, I have two asks. You've already heard them, but I will echo them. One, a vote in favor of a resolution to support our immigrant community under new business, and two, prioritizing a study session this month that investigates your options for responding to ICE here in town. I understand that you're bound by the confines of what it means to be in local government in this town, in this state, in this country. And I would just ask you to remember that from where we're sitting, the pace of progress can often seem glacial. And we feel the urgency, and I hope you do too. Thank you.
The next individual signed up to speak is Nathan Goodman.
Hello, City Council. Thank you so much for having me here today. My name's Nathan Goodman. I've been here in Durango close to 7 years now. And by and large, really just want to echo what everyone has said before me to really strongly, more than strongly, encourage you all to adopt a resolution to support our immigrant community in this region, and also with great urgency to have a study session around exactly what Durango local government can do around ICE presence in our community. I also just want to say, well, everyone here in this room, of course, feels strongly. You maybe haven't seen, there was upwards of a couple dozen people waiting in the vestibule here in Atrium for better part of upwards of an hour. Many people have since left, but beyond just folks speaking this evening, no, there is such wide sweeping community sense of urgency and support around these measures, where, to put it bluntly, ICE presence in our community is just breaking the heart of what it means to be a part of this place, where unfounded, extra legal ICE just arrests and terrorism of community members just, really deviates from and breaks what, in my experience, is meant to be a part of Durango, where just the abuse and toll it takes on family who have to experience and witness that, the ripples it has economically through the greater region are immense, and who knows what will come of that. And there's a lot of things on the docket here, and just want to once again stress the urgency of these measures, where it's not just another policy measure. It's not just what we have to say. It really defines who we are. This is a historic moment, and one that we're going to be looking back on, children in perpetuity. And more than just wanting to be on the right side of history, we need to be on the right side of our neighbors and those who have become most vulnerable. And it just has ripples from then moving forward. So yeah, thank you all for your time and considering the resolution along with the study session, and please move forward with great haste. We've already seen impacts to our community, and frankly, in many respects, have already been too slow to act. Once again, thank you for your time and continue what you're doing.
The next individual is online, and it's Carolina Diaz.
And council, my understanding is speaking Spanish, so we will let her have her 3 minutes and then get a translation to the clerk's office after this meeting. Carolina, you can speak whenever you're ready.
Hola, buenas noches. ¿Me escuchan? Creo que sí. Ok, gracias. Mi nombre es Carolina Díaz. Vivo en el condado de La Plata, pero trabajo en Compañeros y mis hijas estudian en el Distrito Escolar 9R, en Durango, Colorado. Soy originariamente de Colombia, periodista en mi país, y vine aquí peticionando asilo político. Hace año y medio soy agente acreditada por el Departamento de Justicia para dar consejo legal en temas de inmigración. Estudio la ley hace más de año y medio en temas de inmigración. Y puedo asegurarles a todos los presentes que la cantidad de personas inmigrantes que hay en este país sin estatus migratorio no es porque quieran hacerlo. La mayoría de ellos no tienen un camino para el ajuste, no se pueden ajustar porque no existe un camino que les permita ir hacia la residencia permanente, o mejor, hacia la ciudadanía. No pueden porque la ley de inmigración fue escrita hace más de 50 años. Es vieja y obsoleta, no se adecúa a las necesidades, ni lo que necesita Estados Unidos de los inmigrantes, ni lo que los inmigrantes necesitan de Estados Unidos. Por eso es muy necesario que la política local y estatal hagan su mejor esfuerzo por apoyar y proteger a los inmigrantes. La mayoría de los inmigrantes somos buenos. La mayoría de los inmigrantes no tenemos récord criminal. La mayoría de los inmigrantes no tenemos ni siquiera un ticket por velocidad, por exceso de velocidad. Trabajamos en más de 2 trabajos al mismo tiempo. Muchos de nuestros hombres, que son los proveedores principales en nuestras familias, trabajan hasta en 3 lugares, de domingo a domingo sin día de descanso. Entonces, decirle a un inmigrante que agarre el camino correcto y que se legalice es básicamente imposible. Las pocas probabilidades que las personas tienen para un ajuste migratorio pueden tomar años, inclusive pueden tomar hasta 20 años un ajuste migratorio. Es definitivamente necesario no solo que se creen políticas locales para ayudar en la protección de los derechos de los inmigrantes, sino también instar a los congresistas, senadores y demás representantes que realmente nos ayuden a crear comunidades seguras. Si los inmigrantes están en este país debidamente legales, vamos todos a poder saber dónde están, qué hacen, a qué se dedican. Mientras eso no pasa, los inmigrantes estamos obligados a estar debajo de la mesa, trabajando por salarios muy, muy injustos y generando pobreza. Entonces, les agradezco muchísimo a todos, a las personas que hoy están apoyándonos, porque esto es necesario, no solo para la comunidad inmigrante, sino para toda la comunidad que vive aquí, porque entre todos generamos prosperidad. Muchas gracias.
The next individual signed up is Mary Oswald.
I noticed upon the beginning of your meeting, and I imagine every meeting, you have an Indigenous land acknowledgement statement that you read every time there's a city council meeting. It's lengthy and it's full of regret. It seems that it acknowledges that there are better ways that things could have been handled all those years ago. Now's the chance for you to not have regret over what's going on right now in our own community regarding immigration. Please speed up this study session. Don't kick it down the road as far as figuring out a date to have it. Have this study session as soon as possible and pass the resolution for our immigrant community. Thank you.
The next individual signed up is Spencer Busick.
Hello, I'm Spencer Busick. I've been in Durango for about 8 or 9 years as a Fort Lewis College alumni, and I've worked mostly in behavioral health, at-risk youth mentoring, youth mental health and suicide prevention programming, food systems, and also volunteered with La Escuelita. I have a master's of behavioral science and rural community health, and I'm working on a public health certificate with Johns Hopkins. And I say all that not to fill my ego, it doesn't need it, but I hope to use my education to provide some scientific evidence-based support for this issue. Hoping that health and life course perspectives promote better understanding for the need for a resolution. ICE and systemic and institutionalized discriminations harms not only those directly affected, but it harms the lives of innocent community members and children who perceive that they're being discriminated against, which they are. And that will have a lifelong impacts on health disparities. I also want to acknowledge the real experts here are the advocates and community voices with lived experiences. So formally, I'm here to support a vote in favor of a resolution to support our immigrant community under new business and a study session this month to investigate the city's options to respond to ICE in Durango. I'll read some findings from a 2021 article by Andrade et al. Called Discrimination in Latino Health, a Systematic Review of Risk and Resilience. This is a consensus of findings from scientific articles selected at the time, so I won't bore you with stats. So first off, 10 studies found that there's a significant positive association between discrimination and depressive symptoms and clinical diagnoses for depression. Also, discrimination has a significant positive association with anxiety, diabetes-related distress, eating disorders, panic disorders, hostilities, and suicidal ideation, and its Suicidal Awareness Month, by the way. 4 studies found a significant positive association between discrimination and poor physical health, including sleep difficulty, high blood pressure, and other chronic health issues. And I know there's some more negative health outcomes related to marginalized peoples, not in this article. And 9 studies linked discrimination with behavioral health outcomes, including increased substance use, tobacco, smoking, alcohol use disorders, unemployment, and low healthcare utilization. And to end on the positive note, I want to highlight the resiliency and protective factors for the community, which are ethnic identity, culture, and community. And that's why we're here in solidarity to support our community health. And I'm happy to see all the familiar faces here supporting it with me. Thank you.
And the next individual is Enrique Orozco Perez, and I believe Enrique is online.
Under E.
Enrique, you can unmute your microphone.
All right, thank you, everyone. Sorry. Can y'all hear me? Sorry, I can't tell.
Yes, we can hear you.
Great, thank you. Sorry I couldn't be there with all y'all tonight. I've fallen sick, and so to protect everyone's health, I've stayed at home. But I'm just here again to reiterate the importance of protecting our immigrant community and making that publicly known. I really appreciate council taking the time to actually bring this up and talk about it. Because at the last meeting, I spoke about how silence is the face of injustice, and it becomes complicity when we don't speak. And I return with the same conviction. And it's clear to me that our community wants this, and it's clear to me that there are council members that are ready to step up, and I want to support that. Our ask is very clear, as you've heard over and over again, and we're just going to reiterate that. First, we ask that you vote in favor of the resolution reaffirming the City of Durango's commitment, but not just to everyone. We strongly urge that the language adopted tonight be explicit in naming and supporting our immigrant community. Too often, immigrants are erased from the quote unquote everyone. So for me, clarity matters, and our community deserves to see itself directly affirmed in city policy. Second, we ask that you prioritize a study session this month focused on ICE activity in Durango. We know that the calendar is full, but you do have the authority to make this a priority. Families in our neighborhoods cannot wait 3 months while they live under fear and intimidation, and while more and more of our community members disappear. These are clear, reasonable, and urgent requests. Approving the resolution with explicit language that names immigrants assures momentum and belonging. And we know dedicating a study session ensures depth, accountability, and concrete steps forward. Together, they show leadership that values safety, dignity, and constitutional protections for all. This in a week where we are trying to celebrate the Constitution in Durango, that is clearly being violated week after week in our community. I thank you for your time, and I thank you for those council members who have reached out to us, and for those that were able to celebrate with us on Sunday at our Latin American cultural celebration. Thank you, everyone.
And the next individual signed up is Mia Carrasco Songer.
My name is Mia Carrasco-Songer, and I've lived here in Durango for the past 14 years. I'm here today because I'm concerned with the way that ICE is acting unlawfully in our community and the impact that it's having. First of all, thank you all for the work that you do as leaders of our city. I know that y'all are bouncing a lot of time and resources for different projects that are important for us here in Durango. I am concerned seeing law enforcement agents operating with masks on without identifying or being willing to identify themselves and their authority. I'm also concerned that they're arresting people without the authority of a judicial warrant. And I'm concerned about the use of force, such as breaking windows, and also the way that they've been driving erratically and breaking city laws. This is having an impact on our city, leading to people being afraid to go to their jobs, which impacts business here, impacts tourism, and then of course also impacts the social fabric of our whole community. I am so sad for the children who are afraid that their parents are not going to be coming back. And I worry about what that does to our school environment, to our teachers, to those students themselves, and all the other students as well. I'm here requesting, echoing what other people have requested, that y'all vote in favor of the resolution to support our community, and specifically with that language, including our immigrant community, and also asking that y'all prioritize that study session this month, investigating what ICE is doing and what we here in the city can do about it. Thank you so much.
And the last individual signed up to speak is Reese Rose.
Hi all, thank you. Reese Rose. I've lived here for 3 years now, and being in Durango is the first time I've ever felt a real sense of home and community. And so that's been a real blessing. And so I'm here as a caring and concerned community member. I am concerned about the way that ICE has been terrorizing an absolutely essential part of our community, which is our immigrant community. And so I wanted to speak just as everybody else has, and everybody has spoken so beautifully. And so I don't want to take too much of your time, but that I'm asking you to prioritize a vote in favor of a resolution to support our immigrant community under new business and a study session this month that investigates the city's options for responding to ICE in Durango. Please represent us. Please represent us, as you've heard so many people really care about this. I want to see that you all are really listening. So thank you.
Excuse me. Thank you. And that was the remaining folks who signed up for section 13. And so moving forward into section 14, other new business.
Mayor, I'd like to propose a motion that we change the order of the next 4 items so that we prioritize 14.2 and 14.4 and move them ahead of 14.1 and 14.3, which I consider less important.
Is there a second?
Oh, second.
Any discussion? All right. In favor?
Aye.
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 All right. So we'll start with Deputy Clerk Florine. Would you start with 14.2, please?
Thank you. 14.2 is a resolution reaffirming the City of Durango's commitment to everyone in the community and our community well-being based on previously approved 2004 and 2015 resolutions submitted by Councilor Buell.
Okay, I added this item last meeting and kind of went into this when I probably shouldn't have, but I'm going to redo it again since you all are sitting here. So I wanted to propose a revised resolution that reaffirms our city's commitment to every member of the Durango community. This resolution builds upon the 2 prior resolutions that previous councils have already passed, continuing our tradition of supporting all who call Durango home. In 2004, Council adopted Resolution R-2004-40. It recognized that Durango has always been a home for immigrants who have contributed to our city's cultural richness and diversity. That resolution declared that Durango would remain a place where all people are treated with equal respect and dignity, regardless of immigration status, and affirmed that municipal resources would not be used to identify, apprehend, or deport non-citizens on their sole basis of their immigration status. Then in 2015, Council adopted Resolution R-2015-32. This resolution clarified that Durango is not and has never been a sanctuary city, but it reaffirmed our city's policy to discourage all forms of discrimination and reiterated our commitment to promoting social harmony. In the spirit of these foundational documents, I would like to add to the next council meeting add to the next council meeting agenda a revised resolution that aims to strengthen our city's position on 2 key fronts: reaffirm our unwavering support for our community's well-being. This includes all our neighbors who are an integral part of our local economy and culture. We must continue to be a city where all residents feel safe and valued, regardless of their background. And number 2, ensure our law enforcement can do their jobs effectively while upholding our city's values. The Durango Police Department's vision, one department, one community, one Durango, commits them to building trust, protecting the vulnerable, and preventing crime. This resolution publicly supports our police force in following that mission. This clarity will allow our local law enforcement to maintain the trust they have worked so hard to build, knowing they have the full support of this council. Passing this resolution sends a clear, unified message. It tells our community that we stand with them and with our local police. It reinforces that Durango is a place where all people are treated with respect and dignity under law. Do I have council support to put this on the next agenda?
Second. Any discussion?
So I guess just again, for clarity, as we move through this process, I feel fully supportive of what Councilor Buell is requesting, but I've not had a chance to review the document. So it was my understanding, as we talk about items we'd like to see under new business, that all we do at this point is say, I would like to have this item presented, and then that's it. In another session, we hear all of the details. So because we've heard all of the details, but I haven't formally reviewed them. So I guess I'm just trying to understand for future, is this the process we should take where we have our item
But
a
this
little
isn't
bit
the
fully-
resolution yet. We haven't worked out the
I
resolution.
understand that. I'm just trying to understand procedurally, as I try to address items under new business, is it better to have a more fully presented?
Well, 2 weeks ago, we sent out the previous resolutions before I brought this up. That all went out to all.
That's
of
what I'm
council.
trying to understand again, right? Like it seems like we hear the same thing over and over again. So this is under new business. Next time we'll have a formal presentation
Of the
or a
resolution.
presentation of a resolution. And so if we want to make edits for that, what's the appropriate time to do that?
At that meeting.
Okay, thank you.
Correct? Yeah.
Any other discussion? Could get a roll call.
Mayor Yazzie? Mayor Pro Tem Woodruff?
Yes.
Counselor Gonzalez? Counselor Koso?
Yes.
And Counselor Buell?
Yes.
I think we have 14.4 next, Ben.
Thank you. 14.4 is a study session presentation on actions the city council can take to support the immigrant community, submitted by Counselor Gonzalez.
No, okay.
Yeah, go ahead.
So thank you. Well, thank you very much. I think when I presented this item back in July, we hadn't had as much feedback as we do today. My request would be that we hear from the chief, we hear from our city attorney, and perhaps somebody in community development about what options are available. We know there's a lot of things we cannot do as a city, but there are things that we can. And so this is what I would like for our study session to present or to have a study session about in our next council meeting, perhaps in the next study session, so we can really hear what options are available and if there's a fiscal note required for those adjustments.
I'm hoping to make a friendly amendment and you can reject it, of course. And then we'll see. But as you know, like we all here are in support of our immigrant community. And, I share your commitment to ensuring all our residents feel safe and valued in Durango. I believe we have a significant opportunity to act, definitely. But after talking with some of my friends, people I've worked with, Dave and his employees and staff, I think we need to do it with a degree of caution. While a public study session is a great way to raise awareness, I'm concerned about the broad, high-profile discussion about what we can do for our immigrant community. And so what I'm suggesting as a amendment is instead of a large public study session, I would like to suggest we form a smaller, more discrete task force or working group. This group could include council members, key leaders from local organizations like Compañeros, and then the CCRC, which I think is really important. It's the group we have appointed to assist us in areas like this one and see what recommendations they can provide. I think not getting out in front of the outside expertise we have appointed and that are in our community is important. Our work could be focused on following specific actionable items that are designed to support our community effectively.
Well, I think the days of staying quiet are gone. They're long gone. This is not the first time our community has seen this type of engagement. So I think there are a lot of other opportunities, and I would request that those that are experts in the field come and speak during our public comment section and give us further recommendations. So I would reject that amendment.
Any other discussion?
Just a point of clarification, CCRC, I'm not real familiar with what we're talking about there.
Community and Cultural Relations Commission.
Sorry. Now I'm with you. Acronym threw me.
Give me a second.
Need clarification. Yeah, I'll second it.
Shirley, could you go over again what it is specifically you're looking for? I feel like there's a lot of ambiguity, that there's not a lot of clarity on what you're looking for.
Well,
specifically.
so as I further educate myself and the community, we know that some laws have changed about what our city can do to help our immigrant community. We can do a resolution. I'm fully supportive of that. But I think we need to hear from our chief. We need to hear from our city attorney. I think I welcome the feedback from the culture community that I'm familiar with. But I have to admit, I forgot to include them in some of these conversations. So the idea would be that we learn what can we do. And so this has been one of the concerns I've had, is if there's not enough opportunity to learn about some of the greater impact of the ordinances that we approve. So I don't have a fully formed idea of what we can do, because I do think the laws have changed. And so that's why I would welcome a presentation from the chief, from our city attorney, and anybody else who would like to give feedback. I think the feedback the community has given, hopefully, has encouraged us to have a broader conversation. This resolution didn't come forward when I requested support in July. And I think because the community has spoken so clearly, we have a counselor who's recommended a resolution that I fully support. I think. I haven't seen all of the details, but as presented, I welcome that conversation. So I don't have a fully formed presentation today. As I continue to learn what is the best way to approach a topic, I can do that. But what I'm requesting today is that we hear from staff and from our city attorney, our city manager, about what we can do as a community.
Just because everyone's sitting here, I'm just in case everyone leaves after this agenda item, I'm gonna say I'm not gonna support this, but I'm gonna bring up another new business item for an actionable item, just for the record.
I think the study session just gives us what options are out there. I'm not sure I see a whole lot of negative effects while we're discussing what's potentially there. I think I'm certainly as concerned as anybody about negative effects. I'm worried about 20 families turning into 50 families and Durango being targeted. That's some of the reason for my hesitation moving forward, but am equally outraged by the continued actions of ICE within the community. I think the study session that Councilor Gonzalez is asking for is just information, and I think that's fair and a fair request.
Just for clarification, the motion is the presentation from the chief, my office, and then who is anybody else who had information? My concern is.
No, I'm suggesting that as they've done today, people give suggestions. I think that was very helpful in getting support even to have this item heard again.
But they can't do that in a study session.
No. As they do, not, so yes, you're correct. Not in a study session, but as they've been doing, coming and speaking.
So, I'm sorry.
The study session would be a staff presentation.
Okay. So it'd just be staff presentation.
The study
nothing else
session-
from the community.
No, they would come and speak as they've been doing.
But not in a study session. That's not, okay.
So nothing from
Thank you.
CCRC or Compañeros or anyone?
Not as part of a formal presentation.
So generally in a study session, Shaw's, it has been that's the presentation from staff without public participation. Is that what we're sticking to?
Yes, that's my request. The request would be a staff presentation and then an invite to the community to please come speak as you have done today during the open comment section.
So there isn't an open comment session in a study session. Okay, I'm sorry that I'm not tracking.
I'm having a hard time tracking too. I'm sorry, Councilor Gonzalez.
If I'm going to do a presentation, I wouldn't want to be prepared to debate with people from the public. Okay. I mean, I can do a presentation for you guys, which the public can listen to and comment on at some future meeting, but doing that contemporaneously would be a big disadvantage.
No,
for my
I'm not proposing that. I'm suggesting a staff presentation.
Thank you.
To a point of clarity, we could request specific organizations to present at that study session if we found that they had the expertise that we lack within the city staff, correct?
Yes.
Councilor Gonzalez, I don't know if you want to consider it, but I might consider a couple of those organizations to be allocated as.
This is where I'm like trying to get the CCRC and compañeros in there and doing a task force
And
kind
we
of
can work that
instead
out.
of a
We're in a public
presentation.
meeting. Let's
Yeah.
work it out here right now. I mean,
I was trying.
Yeah.
No, I'm, what I want to know, I want to hear from our staff what the city can do to address issues regarding immigration. So that's my request, a study session from staff.
So I would also then offer a friendly amendment that include Los Compañeros and CCRC and anybody else that I might be missing.
Well, the problem
that
with
take part in the
that
study session.
is that the CCRC hasn't had time to like review everything and have a meeting about it and that sort of thing. And so, I mean, compañero, like I'd like everybody to be at the table
Okay.
to come
All
up with ideas. That's
so
my.
Councilor Gonzalez, it sounds like by amendment, you would reject that one as well.
No, I just want a staff presentation about what the city can do. There would not be action taken at a further date if we want to create a task force. If we want to hear public comment specifically on items, we can do that. But I think it's important to hear specifically from staff what the city can do legally and what if there's a financial note associated with some of those changes.
Any further discussion? Can I get a roll call, please?
Thank you. Councilor Koso,
No.
Councilor Buell,
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Woodruff,
No.
Mayor Yazzie,
No.
and Councilor Gonzalez.
Yes.
Thank you. So we'll circle back to item 14.1, which is a resolution directing the city manager to present to the city council possible options and modifications to the land use development code and code of ordinances to allow electric fences and electric mats for deterring bear access, submitted by Councilor Koso.
One question, we still will have time to introduce a new business item at the very tail end of this,
Yeah,
correct?
I'm going to introduce a new business item at the end.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. Decreasing in importance, but still important nonetheless. I wanted to talk to council. I wanted to try introduce with council a resolution talking about the use of electric fences and electric mats for deterring bear access. This is a tool that has been not banned outright in the city, but several hurdles have been in place that keep people from using these tools to keep bears away from critical areas, chicken coops, all the damage that we see in the bear issues. I know that there's a picture that I had thrown in for this point. We have long-term problems with bears going through the trash. We have bear-resistant cans, but these cans are not being used correctly, often by residents. The bear issue is particularly bad this year and continues to be an issue that we just deal with in one given year and not keep trying to make better through some of our actions. And so this is the first proposed action that I'd like to have in front of council. And I'm open to any questions.
Sorry, is it a resolution or a study session? Present, I'm confused.
Directing the city manager.
I believe
sorry.
after my conversations with Councilor Koso, should we get a second first, Mark, before I keep going?
A second.
Okay. This is because there could be so many different ways we could go about this. What I was looking at is we'd come into a regular agenda, presenting different options of how this could work, and then having the council direct us if they see one that they would like to go to proceed with that.
Okay, so numerous options I'm getting here.
Correct.
Yes.
Not just your resolution.
Correct.
I like it.
But it's
Okay.
focused around, I mean, there will be a focus around electric
Sure.
mats, electric
Yeah.
fencing.
Great, thank you.
Any other discussion? Can you get a roll call, please?
Thank you. Councilor Buell,
Yes.
Councilor Gonzalez, Councilor Koso,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Woodruff,
Yes.
and Mayor Yazzie.
No.
All right, moving on to 14.3. It's a consideration by the city council of an offer from the property owners at 1040 East 10th Street Place to purchase the city parcel at 1050 East 10th Street Place for $900,000, along with the conveyance of an easement for 80% of the property back to the city.
So council, this property is a very unicorn opportunity. It's a very unique opportunity. The landowners have a lot that's adjacent to the city land that is already purchased. Plans for the house have been built. The house will go up on this land. Because the city has some adjacent land, if we wanted to, the owners would buy the city land with the caveats they have to give us back 80% on the easement, which would cover the trails that are on a small piece of this land. This allows the homeowners to move their house a little bit and do something with their garage, but it is a $900,000 revenue source for us to put towards a lot of needs that I see potentially coming up in 2026. If there was no house already being built, I wouldn't be entertaining this notion, but the house is going in there anyway. I think the purchase price is worth moving it over a few yards and potentially putting this money towards. I know that we have fire, additional costs with the fire district. We have childcare requests. We have numerous requests for funding that could be supported through this purchase.
Has there been, second. Sorry. Has there been any outreach to the neighbors for this property? And like,
There
are
has
we going to
not.
get any, like, that's where unintended consequences, right? Like we have a proclamation we just did on public lands that says we're not going to ever sell public lands, which I get, like, this is not my hill to die on, to be honest. I think $900,000 towards our housing division or whatever would be great for a little tiny sliver of land. I went up there and looked at it. I run the Sky Steps all the time.
Yeah.
Right there. But I'm just nervous about pushback. Could we include something in there about some public participation, community outreach, talking to neighbors?
Happy to
making
take that.
sure-
Yeah, take that as a friendly amendment. Absolutely.
Okay, I'd like that. And then,
So we'll craft, after the discussion, we'll craft what that looks like.
okay, cool.
Great. Any further discussion? Gilda? Mayor
Yeah,
Yazzie?
yes, sorry, my voice is going, but I urge a no vote on this because we passed a resolution R 2025-0059 that states that we would not sell public land, and we encourage good stewardship of Durango's public lands. And we just passed this in August 2025 on the 19th. Sorry, my voice is going. That's all I have.
Yeah, Mayor, I think you've got a point there for sure. I mean, in looking at this lot, it is sheer vertical. There's very little opportunity to do anything with it. We don't impact any of the trails or any of the land that surrounds those trails really, because it's on the far left side of this lot that is the affected house. The house is going in anyway, so I understand your concern, but the opportunity here for a $900,000 boost to the budget is for me reason enough to go ahead and move forward with this.
Any other discussion? Okay, can you get a roll call?
Thank you. Councilor Gonzalez?
Just.
Yes.
Mayor Yazzie?
No.
Mayor Pro Tem Woodruff?
Yes.
Councilor Buell?
Yes.
And Councilor Koso?
Yes.
Still under new business. Any
Yep.
new items for new business?
Go ahead.
And I'm sorry, did we need to craft that a little bit better? Since we had the amendment, we might need to craft agree to what Mark's going to move
Right
on
now?
to the next thing.
With a favorable vote, my question is, how would you like this to come back on the agenda? Any transfer of property has to be done by ordinance, so it can come back as a resolution directing the city manager to negotiate or.
Is there a
to-
public process in those resolutions and ordinances about negotiations and like neighbors? And I just want, before we approve an ordinance, I want to see what community feedback there is in that neighborhood and make sure we're not doing something that we don't intend to do.
what I would suggest is that we come back with an introduction of an ordinance to buy the property for that amount, and that we post the property, that ordinance will be up for introduction at a meeting and then consideration at a subsequent meeting.
Is there like a public hearing with that?
Well, anytime you pass an ordinance,
Okay.
there's public comment.
Okay,
But
great.
That way, everyone we would kind of like we post other things for liquor sales and other things that go on. We can post property about action that the government plans to take.
Will people in that neighborhood get notification of it?
Not
Specifically?
specifically required under our ordinances to acquire property under the charter. But if you want to make that a part of this action, we just need to know. My suggestion would be that we introduce the ordinance, post the property, and distribute notices consistent with other notices we distribute for like zoning changes.
Great. Love it.
We can help craft that for when it comes back for
Thank you.
introduction.
Is there something within the purchasing policy for something like this for fair market value?
State law requires that you can't sell for less than fair market value. So they'll have to have appraisals, and staff will take care of getting those things in place if it gets introduced successfully.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Okay, it's already approved, so. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So I want to put something on the agenda for next meeting for the next on new business. And I'm apologizing because I usually craft this before the meetings and I'm kind of going this right now. So I'd like to place on the next council meeting under new business, forming a task force or a group or a working group that could include someone from like the police department, city attorney's office, council members, key leaders from local organizations like Compañeros, and I'd like to get the CCRC involved to work on specific actionable items that are designed to support our community in terms of what we can do as a city and city council, like bringing recommendations to us to support our immigrant community. That makes sense. I can formulate that better if I think about it too
I'll normally send out.
Thank
in a
you, like
couple
an
days, kind of
hour.
a wording of it, and then you can
yes,
make
put that on
modifications as
put
you
that
see.
for the next.
I've got one item for discussion as well, if appropriate. Council, I know we've got a lot of study sessions built up and the schedule's been in front of you. There was a hard copy. My question for council was if we were interested in adding an extra study session in October and November, any way to try and move some of these items forward. We've heard some of the reasons to move things forward quickly from our residents. I certainly would be happy to make more time available for an extra study session or even a couple, just so we can move through some of these.
When is our budget retreat in October?
The 14th.
Yeah, something like that. 13th.
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 Okay, so we'll have another, what is it, 6 hours? Or is that?
That's scheduled for a full day. I think it's like 9 to 4.
Okay.
So I'm wondering, I don't know what your schedule is like, Dave, in terms of like how early you can come in. We used to have study sessions start earlier than 2:45. And so maybe through the end of the year, our study session can start at 2 and give us an extra 45 minutes. And that way it's not doing an extra meeting and it's giving us more time for an initial topic or two. But I don't know, I want to make sure I'm cognizant of everyone's schedule. So I don't know how early you can get here. 2:15?
Tuesdays are really challenging for me, but I can talk to my employer and try to see if I can make something work.
Okay, if you need me to arm wrestle her.
Yeah, please.
I'm just kidding. I don't know. That's friendly amendment. Just
Yeah, and that works fine for me. I just wanted to see if council is open to us increasing the availability for us to
and then
move through some of the
kids
study
too
session
with
topics.
early. I don't know if kids with you if it worked. Okay. But 2 is 2 okay for? Okay. Okay. Perfect.
And then just one side question, if we want to try and speed up the conversation around immigration, how do we do that? What options do we have?
Well, the new business, I mean,
she's proposed it, so I'm asking throughout the process, how do we?
I'll like look into see when CCRC meets before then and like maybe get an idea. Maybe I'll talk to some people and like try to see.
Okay. I'll throw that on my one-on-one and maybe we can keep up with that?
Yeah.
Just
Okay.
as a reminder, you guys can talk about scheduling all day long, every day without violating OMS.
Okay.
So scheduling is one of those exceptions to the open meeting laws. You guys can call and have breakfast or do whatever you want outside the purview of the public to schedule meetings.
As long as we're scheduling meetings.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
It's not making any decisions, but scheduling is an exception to the open meeting laws.
Scheduling more time to be here.
Yeah.
Thanks for everybody's patience as we're making sausage up here. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else? New business? All right. So adjourn. Thank you.
Thank you.